Welcome, welcome, dear friends, to our spiritual home, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. My name is Barbara Rosen. I serve on our Board of Trustees, and I'm serving as Worship Associate today. I use she, hers pronouns, am a white older woman. I have white hair, green eyes, blue top, and a chalice necklace. I am originally from the lands of the Senecas people in Western New York and want to acknowledge that here at the church, we are on the lands of the Tocobaga and Seminole peoples. We are a church of many welcomes, and we offer a warm welcome to all of you. This is a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. To learn more about events, our church calendar is on our website, UUCTS.org, or we'd be happy to talk with you during the coffee hour. For those present with us in the building, we have connection cards available in the pews near the hymnals. If you fill one out, we'll be able to keep in touch with you. You can also just send us an email at membership@uutarpon.org to get connected. There are also small cards if you wish to write any joys or concerns that you would like to share with us if you prefer it in writing. Our first piece of music is number 361 in the gray hymnal, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
And once you get to the hymn, notice that verses 4 and 5 are below. So after 3, you are not finished. You must go. And also notice verse 5 is the same as verse 1. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
I am so glad that the choir is back and people are singing the songs. I am the Reverend Kristina Spaude. I use she, her pronouns and am a white woman. I am tall with chin-length curly brown hair, parted on one side, and blue eyes. Our opening words this morning come from my colleague, Andrea Hawkins-Camper. This is Come, Gather In. In the houses of the holy, the world pauses. In the hearts of the holy, love abides. In the havens of the holy, hope comforts. In the hearths of the holy, spirit refreshes. Come then, one and all, gather in. Come then, one and all, gather here. Bring here all of your heart. Bring here all of your body. Bring here all of your soul. Come then, bring the broken, the vulnerable, the ragged, the outcast, the other. Come then, gather in, come. Come, let us worship together.
We light our chalice with these words from Melanie Morrill and Sminger. Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter how you came here, or if you came alone or with others, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, then you are indeed welcome here. And our next music is Spirit of Life, number 123, in the gray hymnal.
Our story today is called Nerdy Birdie. It was written by Aaron Reynolds and illustrated by Matt Davies. This is Nerdy Birdie. His glasses are too big, his wings are too small. He's allergic to birdseed. When all the other birds are hanging out together at the bird feeder, Nerdy Birdie is scrounging for breadcrumbs. Eagles, cardinals, and robins are the cool birds. Pointing to Eagle, their wind tunnel tested head shape, impressively sculptured chest muscles and abs of steel are highlighted. For cardinal, the glossy red pompadour, glossy red attire, and also glossy and red tail feathers are featured. And for the robin, the beady eyes with superior worm vision, trademarked, worm-fed physique, and feet, which have nothing to do with worms, are featured. 3 things that Eagle is good at: hunting, fishing, and football. 3 things Cardinal is good at: singing like a rock star, posing, and attracting fans. 3 things Robin is good at: picking on worms, insulting worms, and eating worms. 3 things Nerdy Birdie is good at: reading, video games, and reading about video games. Eagles, cardinals, and robins don't care about reading. Nerdy Birdie shouts, "Hey guys, I just read the coolest book." Eagle asks, "Who cares?" Cardinal says, "Bookworm." Robin replies, "I eat bookworms for breakfast." They don't care about video games either. Nerdy Birdie exclaims, "Hey guys, I just defeated the Earthworm King in World of Wormcraft." Eagle asks, "Who cares?" Cardinal says, "Nerd." Robin replies, "I eat real earthworms, not digital ones." One day, Eagle flew off to hunt. Cardinal flew off to impress fans. Robin flew off to terrorize worms. And Nerdy Birdie was alone. One thing was clear: it was awfully lonely not being a cool birdie. A voice called out, "Why do you hang around with them?" Nerdy Birdie saw a small bird on a telephone wire. "They don't even like you," he said. "But they're so cool," said Nerdy Birdie. "Trying to be cool is exhausting," said the new bird. "You should hang around with us." "Us?" Nerdy Birdie asked. And then he saw us. After all, there's always room for another Nerdy Birdie. Their glasses were too big. Their wings were too small. At least half of them had birdseed allergies. They all liked to read, and most of them liked to play World of Wormcraft. They were exactly like Nerdy Birdie. And then he realized something. There were way more nerdy birdies than there were cool birdies, and now they were all his friends. Eagle didn't have any friends. Eagle hunted alone. Cardinal was always showing off. He had no friends. Know why? Because he was always showing off. Robin was too obsessed with worms to make friends. One thing was clear: it was awful lonely being a cool birdie. But then a new bird moved into the neighborhood. The cool birds were unimpressed. "Hey guys," said the new bird. Eagle said, "She gives me the creeps." Cardinal said, "Why does she always wear black? It's so depressing." Robin chimed in, "She eats what?" The cool birds flew away and left Vulture alone. "Why would you want to hang around with them?" a voice asked. "Being cool is exhausting. You should hang around with us," the voice continued. "Us?" Vulture asked. "Us. After all, there's always room for another Nerdy Birdie. Right, guys?" asked Nerdy Birdie of the others. "Hold it," one of the others shouted. "Where are her glasses? Where is her lightsaber?" another asked. "And have you heard what she eats? Blech! She is most definitely not one of us." Nerdy Birdie was confused. "But there's always room for another Nerdy Birdie, right?" "That's the problem. She's not a Nerdy Birdie," someone replied. "She's just weird." Nerdy Birdie looked at his flock of friends. The telephone wire was packed with them. He looked at the new bird sitting there all alone, and one thing was clear. It was awful lonely being alone. This is Nerdy Birdie. His glasses are too big. His wings are too small. This is Vulture. She wears contact lenses. I'm trying not to think about that too much. Her wings are enormous. Vulture eats dead things. Nerdy Birdie does not. Nerdy Birdie likes video games. Vulture does not. Nerdy Birdie and Vulture don't like all the same things, but they really like each other. If you ever need a friend, you can hang around with them. After all, there's always room for another birdie. Even when they're super ginormous. I don't even know what that is. We will sing the children to their programming with hymn number 413 in the gray hymnal. And as we do, I'm going to light this candle to represent the love and light of this community, to hold them in their time together.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace, go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Now is the time in the service where we take our offering for the work and welfare of this church. Ours is a free faith which must sustain itself financially. In response to the wildfires ravaging Hawaii, we will be taking a special collection until September 24th to support their emergency needs. The First Unitarian Church of Honolulu recommends the Hawaii Community Foundation Maui Strong Fund. It provides financial resources that can be deployed quickly, with a focus on rapid response and recovery for the devastating wildfires on Maui. The Hawaii Community Foundation will not be collecting a fee for donations to the Maui Strong Fund. 100% of the funds will be distributed for community needs. Make checks out to UUCTS, Memo, Maui. You may put it in the Sunday offertory, mail them to 57 Reed Street at Tarpon Springs, Florida, 34689, or donate online by going to uutarpon.org. Donate button, then give the plate. Please give as generously as you can.
Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself part of the family. We've taken to you so strong.
We will now hold a moment of silence to let you settle into yourselves and your seats. Take some deep breaths deep into your belly if that's comfortable for you. To be open to what is to come. Our reading today comes from Sister Joan Chittister. This is The Spirituality of Hospitality from her work, The Monastery of the Heart. Benedictine spirituality is a sacramental spirituality. It holds all things, the earth and all its goods, as sacred. When Benedict of Nursia began his new way of living in wild, licentious 6th century Rome, he turned the world upside down. He took into his monastic community the rich and the poor, the slave and the free, the young and the old, artists and craftsmen, peasants and noblemen. It was a motley crew. And then, as if that weren't enough, he opened the doors of the monastery to anyone who came, at any time, to anyone who knocked, no matter who they were or where they had been in life along the way. Great care and concern are to be shown, the rule goes on, in receiving poor people and pilgrims, because in them, more particularly, Jesus is received. The point is clear. The guest to the Benedictine is much more than simply another social contract. Guests, the unknown and the wandering other, are the final and authentic addition to any Benedictine community. Without them, the very notion of Benedictine community as suspect is nothing but more of the same. Without the guest, we make the community life all about us alone. Families that concentrate only on themselves do not build up the entire human family. The Benedictine, on the other hand, is actually on the lookout for guests, for their needs, for their wisdom. The guest in Benedictine spirituality is a visit from the God of Scriptures who comes upon us at our most vulnerable and breaks us open to a new part of ourselves as well as to the needs of the other. Guests bring the world in, place it at our feet, and dare us to be who and what we say we are. They are a blatant sign to all to see that any group that calls itself a monastery of the heart, but exists only for itself and its own kind, is not really a real community at all. A monastery of the heart is a community with stretchable, permeable, illimitable boundaries made up of anyone who happens to come into it at any time and always saying, we are here for you. When I was in seminary, I was taking a class that required me to attend an event in another faith. Worship services were the most common choice, but it could be anything, a service or an event or a ceremony. I had settled into one option, but on a whim asked on Facebook if there was anything in particular that I might want to check out. A friend, a Lakota man I know, who is also a member of a UU church, said that he was going to be performing an adoption ceremony in a couple of weeks, and I was welcome to attend. He was actually a little anxious about it because he sort of had to create it himself, drawing a lot from elders and other traditions. The ceremony was a mid-June day, and I remember hoping that wherever we were going was going to have air conditioning or we were all going to be uncomfortable. But when I arrived, I was welcomed into the house. There was a smattering of people hanging around outside, leading up the walkway in. I explained to someone that we had been invited by Bruce and was thanked for coming as if I was an expected guest and belonged. In anticipation of the ceremony, I had brought tobacco and I gave this to someone. People introduced themselves, offered drinks, said where the bathroom was. Essentially, everyone there that day was indigenous, other than the young man to be adopted, his girlfriend, and some of his family who were present, and me. It was a First Nations community formed of Lakota, Winnebago, Dakota, Onondaga, and other displaced indigenous peoples to celebrate and share community together, practicing and honoring their ways. My experience that day as someone who so very clearly was an outsider to their cultures, to their heritages, to their community, to the family, was also one of true welcome and hospitality. I wasn't left alone with no one to talk to. I was brought into conversations quickly, conversations about their work lives, their family lives, about traveling to visit relatives on reservations, and never once felt like I didn't belong. Everyone was a participant in the community, in the adoption ceremony, a young white man who had been exploring and learning about his indigenous heritage, being adopted by the Lakota woman who had become like a second mother to him. Everyone received gifts. Can you imagine going to a gathering and getting gifts for being there? We all shared the food that people had brought, including many traditional foods, and celebrated this beautiful event together. I was struck afterward not only by the ceremony, but obviously also by the welcome and hospitality. It was an unexpected gift. The power dynamics of my whiteness and absolute stranger status were of no concern. I was their guest, and I was welcome. Not even welcome, I belonged. Their hospitality was not pressured, it was seamless and natural. And part of the reason I think it sticks with me still all these years later is because so clearly that I have rarely had such an experience in our congregations, the communities I serve and visit the most anymore. Honestly, my ministerial colleagues also struggle with hospitality. It's not just our congregations. Laredo, though, our religious educators, everyone has things to learn from them about community building and welcome. I've heard for years about the fragile art of hospitality, and what I've realized is that hospitality is not such a fragile art unless we're concerned about perhaps disrupting sociocultural norms or the way we do things here. Hospitality should be about welcome and invitation, a joyful and abundant art and practice. Hospitality is grounded in generosity and abundance, sharing what we have with others. And it's not just about generosity and abundance of things, of food, of gifts, or other material things. Hospitality is equally grounded, if not more so, on generosity and abundance of spirit, of intention and openness and presence. We may have the best brownies in the state. I have heard that we might. But I can assure you that no one is returning to coffee hour for those brownies if we don't fill them with the spirit of our shared faith. This is one mistake that I think our congregations make, that we begin to treat our congregations like they're our homes. I found ways that I do this, so I absolutely get it. This happens more when a congregation has a fairly homogeneous culture like this one does. While our congregation is our spiritual home, it is not our home. Our congregations are comfortable places for us, safe places for us, a respite from the world, but they are a place where our lives intersect in public. Congregations are places with changing faces of people coming, people going, people visiting, people staying. This congregation knows this better than some others, with snowbirds and so many frequent other travelers. And in this way, our congregation is more like the businesses or organizations where we work or have worked, places where we welcome people in, clearly and intentionally. Sister Joan Chittister writes that this is also true for the Benedictines and offers insight from a spiritual perspective. That without the guest, we make the community life all about us alone. They come upon us at our most vulnerable and break us open to a new part of ourselves, as well as to the needs of the other. Guests bring the world in, place it at our feet, and dare us to be who and what we say we are. Who and what do we say about who we are? My teaching congregation is where I learned that hospitality is not just about generosity and abundance of food and material things, but that was a great place to start. As far as coffee hour goes, they always have a good and diverse spread. Even I was always able to find a bite or two of something to eat, which as someone who is vegetarian and gluten intolerant is not always the easiest task. But they talked about what they wanted to have available and made a commitment that everyone should be able to find something to eat that wasn't just sugar or a baked good. Their commitment to having various options was for the children and youth, those with diabetes, and everyone else. And their hearty spread increased the likelihood that people would stick around a while and form deeper relationships in conversation, and it worked. The conversation about what should be offered as food and drink were part of larger conversations they had about all of the things that make Sunday mornings happen. They created hospitality teams to share the work, and in doing so, nurtured relationships among the team members each Sunday. Every month, a new team of people would take over, and they did this 3 times a year. All month, they covered everything from passing the plates to greeters to various coffee hour tasks, including setup and takedown. They had a breakfast before the service at the beginning of the month to spend time together and work out their schedules. They stopped having trouble finding volunteers, and people were getting more and more willing to join in where there was a need. People were energized and excited to be part of a team and serving the congregation. They had 2 entrances to the church, a front and a side. They always had 2 greeters at the front doors, as most visitors came in that way. That role was a priority. If someone couldn't make it on the day that they were scheduled, they would always find someone to cover it because it was so highly valued as a role. Welcoming the stranger was of paramount importance. And they were enthusiastic about being at church and participating in the congregation's life. Here, there's a bit of a lull. We may greet people if they come in the back door, but we are inconsistent at best about welcoming people through the front doors, although today was wonderful. And many of our visitors come through the front doors. This congregation tends to be open to greeting people after the service, but not always as much before it. And we wonder why people don't stay. Were we really being as welcoming as we thought? Waiting to talk with people during coffee hour may well be too late. Every week I preach and I look out into the sanctuary. Most weeks the seating pattern is the same. People sitting in the middle and toward the back or in the chairs. I know we have needs for comfort, and every week I wonder if we're allowing our seating to be as available to newcomers as we might. There's a psychology to space that is often untended. I don't know if you remember the first time you came to church, but it's often a big deal for people. It may take them months to work up the courage to enter a space. They may feel more comfortable being near the back or closer to the doors so they don't feel trapped, or because they come later. Except many of those seats are often taken. I want to note that this does not apply to our people who take the offering or are seated, to be mindful of safety in the congregation, for which I am grateful. We had our leadership circle meeting this last week, which all are always welcome to attend. This month, members were exploring some of the questions that have been bubbling up in the last few weeks around what church means and how we be and do church. There was lament over something of a dip in repeat newcomers. It was noted that there was more energy when the congregation was in the Walton Center during the sinkhole repairs. People seemed driven and enthusiastic, unified in the call to support the congregation during such a difficult time. Yes, 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 yes. What was different then? Everyone had to be involved in setup, in making church happen, in taking it down. Everyone had to be involved in doing work around the property as the buildings were renovated. Everyone was pitching in and involved in doing all the things. Now, it's mostly the same people doing the same things every week. There's not always a lot of energy. What if, and hear me out on this one, what if the galvanizing force that got people excited was living and serving the mission of this church? What if we wanted to show our love for this faith by living it in our practices, starting here? One of my colleagues refers to coffee hour as the second hour of church. I would add that it's a time when we practice what we say we value. What if we honored newcomers' experiences of coming here? I've been reading a lot recently, and the book I just about finished is The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. In it, she observes that most event hosts considered the moment the program starts as the moment when hosting begins. But Parker says the moment of invitation is the actual beginning of the event and when hosting begins, whether we think of it that way or not. Among the questions she asks of any client or anyone who asks her for advice about gatherings is what she calls the Passover principle. How is this event different from any other? This is a tricky thing to navigate in a church because we do this every week, not once a year. But I love the idea of wondering about what makes church different from other spaces in our lives. And how can we celebrate that and lift it up? In the book, Parker tells of stories of many events that she's hosted or has attended or has learned about. One that caught my attention is Dîner en Blanc, an event that started in Paris in 1988 when a wealthy entrepreneur returned to the continent after a couple of years living abroad. There wasn't enough room in his apartment for everyone he wanted to invite, which was like 500 people. And he decided to think creatively about how to invite everyone and create a community. This event has become so popular that it has spread across the world with thousands of people participating in events in host cities. There are lots of rules. you can only wear white, head to toe. You have to bring your own table, chairs, picnic basket, tablecloth, napkins, fine china, silverware, glassware, and any elements of beauty, flowers or what have you, all only in white. You have to bring your own meal, homemade and fine dining, no stopping at McDonald's on your way. Drinks, only water, white wine, or champagne, and bring your own dessert. You have to bring a guest if you're invited. And there's no wandering around during dinner. There are even more rules. Now, people pay to attend this event and do all this work. After the dinner and dessert, there's usually some kind of entertainment provided before the evening closes, and all elements of the event disappear with the people who brought them. What is striking about this is the incredible level of investment of the people. They spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars buying the necessary clothing and accessories, food, tables, chairs, everything. And there are more rules that I didn't even get into. Why would people pay for an event like this and do this level of work? Because it's a chance to celebrate something remarkable. The dining venue is not disclosed in advance, but instead there is a meeting place, or rather meeting places because thousands of people attend these things, that is set and people are then shuttled to the actual spot. It's a place where people are not able to eat usually, and certainly not on this scale. But the people who participate in it find it to be the kind of thing they want to prepare for and celebrate all year long. And they bring that excitement with them into the space. I'm sure the venues are spectacular, but what really makes the whole thing special is the joy and the energy that the people bring with them. Many of them are primed for the event over the course of months. They are ushered into the experience with fanfare and joy. They are strangers and make an event happen that is to be envied. I'm not sure that this is my thing. Surprising no one, I'm sure. But Parker's whole book has me wondering about how I and we could apply what she shares in this setting. Like, what if we assume that everyone is making this dîner en blanc level of effort to come into our community? Are we matching the level of enthusiasm and excitement that they are bringing with them into the space? I've had conversations with some of you where this church is named as being more like a social club, which is an assessment that I have agreed with, although I do think it is changing. I know that Florida is an incredibly difficult place to live, and we think of this church as a haven, a sanctuary, a monastery of the heart. But this tends to make us more inward looking in many ways. Many welcomes are offered, nice conversation is had, but the energy is often still low. Greeting and welcoming done well is a collaborative effort, not just for the same few people to do. What do we tell them when we offer them when we greet them? Are we sharing with them the vital message of Unitarian Universalism, or do we play that down? These and more questions are ones we might consider as we reflect this month on what welcome means to us. Like, what would it be like to offer as our service to this congregation to treat newcomers with the highest priority and welcome them? There's a blog post I've seen where a couple who attends church regularly said that they treat any newcomer alone as an emergency, taking priority over friendships and church business. They weren't saying rush into the people and overwhelm them. Nobody wants that. But treat them as a priority from a place of love. Treat them as a priority from a place of joy of this faith. treat their entry into our sanctuary as if they have the most precious gift to offer us. I was reminded as I was thinking through this of the parable that Mark shared last year, the year before, sometime during the covenant group service, about the abbot whose monastic community was struggling to survive. And he went to pray about it and talk with the rabbi who sometimes spent time nearby. The rabbi's congregation was struggling too. The two men gathered together and wept and prayed and studied the scriptures over the state of their communities. The abbot, as he was preparing to leave, asked if the rabbi had any advice, and the rabbi replied that he did not, but that he could tell the abbot that the Messiah was among the monastic brothers. The abbot returned to the monastery and shared about his time with the rabbi, including the assertion that the Messiah was one of them. Each began to wonder who it might be and reflected on the qualities of each man. They began treating each other with exceptional respect and appreciation, and the monastery was revived. We don't believe in a Messiah here, but we do believe that each person holds keys to knowing and understanding deeply about love and all the wonders and mysteries of living. Perhaps we can learn to offer that as the main dish at our gatherings. May we all be so filled with the gifts of this faith that we pour it into each other's cups. If you would please rise in body or in spirit and lift your voice in song for our closing hymn, number 407, in the gray hymnal, we're going to sit at the welcome table. Nuyar has written in The Gift of Faith, in the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move forward upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue moving forward on this path, this journey, this ever-widening road called hope with me.
Yes, there's always room for one more. soprano, alto, tenor, or bass, as long as there's a smile on your face. You can sing soft or you can sing loud, as long as you like being part of the crowd. Yes, there's always room for one more to come waltzing in through the door. When it comes to singing and voices ringing, there's always room for one more. Yes, we'll always save you a place. Just come in, we'll find you a space. We'll take any singer who is a ringer. There's always room for one more. Colossal or tiny, short or tall, we'll basically take anyone at all. If yours are hairy or if you can carry a tune, a tune, a tune. Yes, there's always room for one more to come waltzing in through the door. When it comes to singing and voices ringing, there's always room for one more. Yes, we'll always save you a place. Just come in, we'll find you a space. We'll take any person who loves rehearsing. There's always room for one more.
We hope that you found meaning in today's service. We close with these words from Krista Taves. It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice, but its light lives on in the directions we have chosen today. The light of this faith lives on in us together, in our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits. Amen, and blessed be.